I have this weird relationship with challenges, maybe, where I enjoy a challenge or the idea of a challenge, but don't actually like having to face them. Like it was easy. It was easy for me to live out that routine. It was easy to get up and go to the job that I'd been doing for so long. And it was scary to think about trying to live a different way. I don't like making choices. I don't like making changes. It makes me very uncomfortable. I think that's not super uncommon. But I just sat in that comfortable space for long enough that everything that I was doing was burning me out. Like, I think I realized that I had just been living in survival mode for a really long time, you know? Like, I was in a job that I had been in various, like, forms and positions and different restaurants under the same restaurant group for 10 plus years, and, you know, didn't hate it, never hated it, but didn't see any forward progress there. Like, didn't see anywhere else I could go up in that company. Was exhausted, because it's weird hours in a restaurant, you know. Sometimes you were working from 4 to midnight and then turning around to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning the next day. It's hard to have an outside life living that way that isn't centered on, like, bars and late night parties and things that make it even harder to get out of bed and go to work in the morning. I think I was the person who wanted everything to be, like, right and wanted to do a good job and wanted, you know, was working for the pat on the back, like working for someone to say, hey, good job, you've done it, you've succeeded. But not because, like, it made me happy or because it was fulfilling or because it was the job I needed to be doing. It was just like a little ball of stress, like just like a bunch of little scribbles on a page, just frenetic energy. Like, my favorite thing to do at that point, like in those days, would be to just, like, go home and fall asleep on the couch watching Murder, She Wrote or Columbo or, like, the other shows that your grandparents watched a million years ago. Just to be in this, like, dark, quiet, comfortable space where nothing was chaos, and you knew that the 65-year-old lady was going to catch the murderer by the end of the show, and there's not going to be any blood or gut. Like, just, I think I was someone who was just kind of existing at that point. I should have changed some things well before I did. It took a long time for it to really turn into a deep rut. But I do think comfort has a lot to do with it, and not being, you know, like, I'm uncomfortable not knowing what the outcome of my choices is going to be. So, like, choosing a new career, or, like, choosing to try out a new relationship, choosing to try out some athletic endeavor. When, like, I trip over my own 2 feet. Like, I barely exist physically in the world. Like, I'm very bad at sports and athletic. Like, so that was really scary and weird. I'm terrified of having to make choices. I hate it. I don't like doing it. And it makes it really easy to get stuck in a rut. I had started trying to exercise a little bit at home when the pandemic shut everything down, and I didn't have work for 2 or 3 weeks or however long we were all laid off. So there had been little inklings of, like, trying to take an interest in my health and mindfulness and just something to be more centered on. I don't think I had really any, like, goals or plans. I wasn't someone who really took days off or vacations, and it's not much of a way to live. Honestly, it was just a moment where I got really lucky. I had a friend who had been doing the job that I'm doing now, and she essentially got promoted And when they asked her if she had any recommendations for who to fill her position, she asked me if she could suggest me, and I said sure, why not. I really didn't think anything would come of it. You know, I didn't really think I'd even apply. I didn't think I'd get the job. But it all just worked out. Which I guess is weird in a way. I really probably should have been more proactive about looking for something different to do, but it fell into my lap, and it was such a good opportunity to do something different, still adjacent to the industry I was in, but with more room to learn and grow, and with more flexibility, and with more comfortable hours. I don't know, I want to say it was a small change that sort of helped me make other changes, but it was a pretty big change for me. It was hard to leave a job that I'd been doing for so long. It was hard to even finish the application. It all felt really surreal, even considering moving on and doing something different. It was hard telling the owner, who I've known for such a long time. I've worked for the man for more than 10 years, and before that went to the high school where his wife taught. She was my English teacher in 8th grade. I babysat their kids. So sitting down and telling him, hey, I'm so sorry, but I found another job. Was really hard and scary. I think I thought he was going to flip the table or something. He was very, very gracious and happy for me, which was nice. But there wasn't really any sort of catastrophic falling out, big dramatic breaking point. I just got really lucky and decided not to pass it up. But it was sort of one of those things where it just wasn't even really a choice. For several reasons. For one, because the person who's my boss now, who I guess was more or less recruiting me, kept texting me to ask if I'd put the application in yet. She was really excited about getting the process started. It's a weird thing applying for a job that you're already pretty sure you have. It feels, especially when you're not I wanted the job. I liked the job, and I knew that I wanted the job, but there was a part of me that didn't want to get it so that I wouldn't have to tell my old employers that I was going to move on. That's a part of myself that I'm really not very comfortable with or happy with, that I could probably plod along and let people make choices for me for the rest of my life. And I think of myself as a much stronger woman than that, but I get really paralyzed by decisions. I've just made a lot of the wrong choices so many times. I don't want to keep doing that. But I don't know. I think refusing to choose is another wrong choice. So, something I'm working on. I have this weird relationship with challenges, maybe, where I enjoy a challenge or the idea of a challenge, but don't actually like having. I think I realized that I had just been living in survival mode for a really long time. I was in a job that I had been in various forms and positions. So that was really scary and weird. 2 or 3 weeks or however long everyone was all laid off. So there had been little inklings of trying to take an interest in my health and mindfulness and just something to be more centered on. Was fulfilling, or because it was the job I needed to be doing. It was just like a little ball of stress, scribbles on a page, just frenetic energy. My favorite thing that point, like in those days, would be to just like go home and fall asleep on the couch watching Murder, She Wrote or Columbo or like the other shows that your grandparents watched a million years ago. Just to be in this like dark, quiet, comfortable space where nothing was chaos, and you knew that the 60. I'm terrified of having to make choices. I hate it. I don't like doing it. And it makes it really easy to get stuck in a rut. I had started trying to exercise a little bit at home when the pandemic shut everything down, and I didn't have work for 2 or 3 weeks or however long we were all laid off. Turning around to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning the next day. It's hard to have an outside life. I have this weird relationship with challenges. I think I was someone who was just kind of existing at that point. I don't know. I think refusing to choose is another choice. So, something I'm working on.